Hey there, Kat. How's it going? You nailed it this week. Super impressed. I don't know what you did differently this week, but yeah, everything sounded really good. So whatever you did differently, make a mental note of that because it worked. So yeah, everything looked good. I guess, got my little list here. The rim shot. Boy, oh boy. Yeah. You want to say hi, Lolo? Lolo's here, wants to say hi. The rim shot. Really nice. So, this is by far the best version of the rim shot I've seen from you yet. I can tell it's really settling into something that's becoming familiar and somewhat comfortable to you, probably. You seem to be more at home with it at this point, which is great. So I think you've probably gotten through the worst of it by now. Keep in mind, if you let it go though, and you don't continue to work on it, you're gonna lose what you got. And that was taught to me when I was working on this back in the day, and it's kind of true. If you don't keep up on it, it kind of goes away. So it could be frustrating, but so just stay on it, keep going. The motion looked good. Your body position looks good. You got, at times, a bunch of really consistent, great-sounding rim shots in a row. Like a couple bars worth. I think towards the end of the video, you had like 2 full measures of consistent rim shots, which is awesome. In another couple months, you'd be able to play a whole 3 or 4 minute song with every single rim shot being exactly the same. Probably. Takes some time, but you're well on your way. So, just keep going. And of course, you're still missing here and there. I'd say if I had to put a percentage on it, I'd say you were missing 50 to 60% of the time, which is way better than what it's been. And the rim shots that you did get, they all sounded really great. So awesome. Yeah, that's my only recommendation. Just keep going, keep doing it, and know that you're on the right track. And it's probably still frustrating and still boring, but I'm seeing massive improvement. So, awesome, nice work. I guess let's talk about that 16th note groove, the new one that I showed you last week. So we were at 80. So, really nice work. I'm super impressed. That was sounding and looking really good for only 1 week of spending time on it. A couple little things to be aware of that could make it sound better. Drop the volume of your hi-hat and bring up the volume of your snare drum. Again, you can be looking at your stick height for that. Kind of like what we've been talking about with the paradiddles, the doubles, the singles, the roughs, that whole exercise, talking about stick height. Same thing applies to this. So what I saw from you looked and sounded a little more like this. For me to even play it that way. So the hi-hat was pretty loud in the mix. The snare drum, it was okay, but we would want more of that. The kick drum was pretty good. I could have even used a pinch more of that, but it's all relative. If you drop the volume of your hi-hat, and just bring up the volume of your snare, I think you'd be where you want to be. So that was kind of what yours sounded like, but we want to go for more of this sort of thing. So you can see when I'm on the hi-hat, my stick height is like coming up to here-ish. So from down there up to here-ish, it's probably like a 8-inch stick height or so. And then when I come over to the snare, I'm starting higher anyways, but like my stick's like way up here when it comes down. So it's like twice the stick height of when it's on the hi-hat, so probably like 16 inches or so. And I am putting a little bit of force behind it with my arm and my hand. I'm trying to hit it kind of hard. So that's kind of what you're going for. Start paying attention to your stick height, and that will help. So I think if you sort that out, it'll be sounding better. But it sounded great the way it was. It was clean and precise. And it looked like it was fairly comfortable for only a week of working on it, so that's great. So what I want to do, other than working on the dynamics there, bringing the hi-hat down, bringing the snare drum up, whoops, I'm going to send you a picture of this page, which starts to go into more depth with this kind of beat, so... you know, like all my other pages, there's some song references you can listen to check out that utilize these types of beats. They may not be exactly the same, but they're very close. And of course, I didn't write that out for you last week, and this is how it's written out, right? It's 16th notes in the hi-hat, right, left, right is just snare drum with no hi-hat, right? Because we come over off of the hi-hat to the snare. And then finishing that beat, left, right, left. You get the idea, right? Snare drums in the middle, kick drums in the bottom. So, let me introduce just the first one to you this week. And then we'll just take them as they come. And of course, you know, when we get to it, you'll write a couple of your own down there. So the first one's, it's very simple, although you might find it somewhat difficult because it kind of is, even though it's simple. It's basically what you just played. We're just adding a kick drum on the of beat 2, so 2E and So there's that extra kick drum, and it falls on a left-handed hi-hat. So you have kick drum and left hand at the same time, which doesn't want to happen naturally, right? The right always wants to be with the right, and the left always wants to be with the left. But here we have a left hand with a right foot, so that's what makes it sort of tricky. Other than that, it's the same. Kick on 1, kick on 3. Okay, so I'll show you this beat. And I like 80. We could stay at 80. Obviously, take it slower if 80 feels too fast initially. But I'll show you it at 80. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just kick That's a super common beat. It's in many, many, many songs. So a handy one to work on. Cool. So that should make sense. Work on that. Show me that. And of course, keeping in mind your hi-hat volume and your snare drum volume. Cool. Next on our list, let's go to the rudiments thing. Paradiddles, doubles, singles, roughs. Okay, so nice work. It sounds better than it's sounded ever. It's much cleaner and more precise. The spacing between your notes, especially on the 16th note level where we have the paradiddles and the doubles, it was much cleaner and more precise. It sounded really good. I'm probably a tiny bit slower than where you're at. I'm not using a metronome, but you see, you get the idea. So it sounds really good, but you're forgetting to drop your volume. So you're still at the same volume. And so now you got to remember that the exercise has now become about dropping your volume because you know how to play the thing. It sounds really good. Now, can you play the thing at like at least half of the volume that you're at? So again, pay attention to your stick height. The way I just demonstrated it, I had like maybe a 3 or 4 inch stick height. So from down here to maybe up here-ish. Very low, okay? So I'm trying to play soft. You were still coming like way up here. Full volume, more or less. So, pay attention. Drop your stick height. See if you can cut your volume at least in half. I'd actually want to see it cut more than in half because you're playing it pretty loud right now. So, pay attention to your stick height and get that volume. One thing you could do initially, it's sort of like what we did with the flams, where you play both sticks at the exact same time. You take it to that extreme level. So maybe try playing the exercise as quiet as you possibly can, just to see what that's like, right? So that was kind of as quiet as I could play it with sticks. I was coming off the head maybe an 1.5 inches, like a very small amount. So work on that. You got the exercise. Now just show it to me very quiet. Okay, and we'll take it from there. Cool. And then last on our list, of course, was flams. And that's great. So now you're getting it. I'm very impressed. Let's keep it without a metronome for now and spend another week just on your left-handed flams, so starting with the right. So the same thing that you did, because you're very close. Most of those sounded really good. They sounded like flams. You're getting the spacing right, but I can tell it's still not super comfortable, right? So let's spend another week on that, just getting your left-handed flams very comfortable. And then next week we'll assess and talk about doing it on the other side and talk about putting it in time with a click. Some of the flams you played were still a little too far apart as far as the spacing goes. Most of them were pretty spot on. if anything, they could be a little bit tighter. The flams I heard that weren't perfect or very close, it was always because the spacing was too far apart. I didn't hear any flams come from you that were too close together. Okay? So just something to be aware of as you continue to work on them. So I'll play a few of those. I'll try to get the spacing perfect, so you can listen and watch and try to make your spacing like mine. Okay, those were all pretty close to each other, and the spacing was all basically where they need to be. Another thing worth mentioning that I probably already did, but you can also be aware of your starting position. So it's hard to play them fast right now. Even that speed that I just played them at, that might be too fast for you at this point. So go slow, kind of like we did last week, where you play one and you think about it for a second, right? And then you play another one and you stop. You think about it. How did that one go? Play another one. What was that one like? Okay, I guess I'll play another one. Play another one. Like, that's a good process for right now. But in doing that, you can think about your starting position. So with these left-handed flams, it's sort of like, and you're doing this, but I'm not sure if you're really aware of it completely, and it might help to be aware of it. Where the starting position, more or less, is like you have your right hand closer to the head, and your left hand stick height. Again, stick height coming back. Your left hand stick height is higher, right? Because we want the left to be loud and the right to be soft. And then if you just naturally drop the sticks, from there, you kind of get a flam. With me being all loose and not controlling it at all, you kind of get a flam, because the right is going to hit first because it's lower, it's going to hit quieter because it's lower, and the left is going to hit later and louder because it's higher. Does that make sense? So just something to be aware of, but you're on the right track. Just try to dial in the left-handed flams, and then we can translate that to the right-handed flams, probably next week. Cool. Yes, very nice job. And that is it. Cool. Awesome. Adios. See you next time.